Hello, everybody. We are live. I am so excited to be here. This is a special episode of Hosting Brilliance because we're at Hosting Brilliance on a Monday. Listen, every Monday we get on here with the best of the best educators and we really show people what it means to educate because everybody is educating somebody somewhere, but we want to make sure that we are doing it with excellence and equitable practices. So today, I'm so excited because I'm joined with an amazing guest. And this guest is my co-host. She's also my colleague in Teach Plus. We are doing this together, honey, because it takes collaboration. So I want to introduce you all to none other than the amazing Tatiana. Say hello to the people.
That was the best intro I've ever gotten in my life.
Yes. Well, talk to us really quickly about who you are, where you're from. I know we have a little bit of you on the footage from the panel, but today we're about to rock and roll, and I just want you to talk to the people live.
All right. Well, I'm a special educator from Philadelphia. I teach in a high school. Right now, we're going through our own issues. We have a asbestos issue in our school, so we're not in school, but school's virtual right now. And I think that's one of the it's very inequitable because these kids, it's not COVID anymore, but it feels like COVID again just because we weren't up to date with asbestos when we should have been. So right now, I think I'm feeling the raft of the inequity and just neglect of the system. So I'm a little fired up. So I'm ready for whatever you want to talk about, whether it's teacher shortage or whatever. It's all irrelevant. So I'll bring it back to you so we can go wherever you want to go with this conversation.
Yes. Oh my gosh. See, I love it when people come on here. We are open to just let's just flow. Okay, so we are going to talk about a few things today. And I know you're going to be blunt and honest. You're going to ask questions. I want you to push back on ideas that you may have or thoughts or things from your perspective. One of the things, guys, that I love about Tatiana is that she is super dope, number one. She really is. She knows what it means to be a brilliant educator. And not only does she know that, she embodies it. And so I want you to just talk to us a little bit about why it's important that you're here with us to have this conversation. And remember, we're having a conversation, everybody, if you're just tuning in, hello, about how we can reimagine teacher preparation with culture. So we are talking about teacher shortage. We are talking about teachers leaving and getting burnt out. We are most importantly talking about Teach Plus's initiative to really change some laws so that we can reimagine teacher preparation. So what are your general thoughts before we get in there? Where are you at? Like, share a little bit of your story connected to this.
Okay, so I started teaching about 4 years ago, I think it was. And I don't know if I was the most prepared. I wasn't the most prepared, but I should have been because I did do undergrad education degree. I was in a master's program. I don't believe I was prepared. Kind of rocked my world the first year. Um, and it was discouraging. I kept going, but I guess I could have been like, I'm done with this completely, and I didn't. But I can see why people would. I don't judge people when they do, but I do wish people would stay in longer. But how can they if they don't feel prepared? So it's kind of close to my heart because I think it's very relevant to new teachers, and things are changing. And I want the kids to have good teachers and teachers that have longevity. But policy is not changing fast enough for that to be an actual sustainable thing. So that's why I'm here because I think it's important and I think the kids deserve that. And I think teachers deserve to be prepared. Teachers deserve to feel confident and policy can do that.
I really appreciate your perspective, and I think that you said something very key, and it was more so around you could have left, but you didn't, and you don't judge people for doing it. And I know a lot of people have left, and I know a lot of people have, especially teachers of color. And I want to ask you a question about that. Like, say more about what it means to be a young black woman, and you are, like you said, a newer teacher, right? And having that excitement at first to like really come in, not to say, I hate to say at first, but that's sometimes it happens to come in and feel like, whoa, I love this and I'm going to stay, like you said. but I don't really like want to stay because I've gone through so much adversity. Talk to us about like challenges that you have had to overcome as a Black woman coming in here as a new teacher, Black woman in the school system, and what you're already going through, just like every day.
Yeah. Uh, oof. That's loaded. To take part of that, 'cause that would take me an hour, maybe 3 hours. I don't know. But
A little quick.
to answer as quickly as possible, you are excited. I was so excited to start. I'm still excited because I'm still here. So I wouldn't be excited. I'm still here, but it's taxing because you're asked to do a lot. You're asked to like, oh, you guys, you know what these kids are going through. Sometimes I don't. Just because I'm Black doesn't mean I have the same experience as every Black person. But and you do feel like sometimes like I do feel like I do have an investment because if these kids are successful, then my kids will be successful. My future kids. I don't have any kids now. I'm young, but you become invested into your own community as everyone should be in their own community. So it's taxing because you feel emotionally connected and you want this to work, but at first I didn't really feel prepared, but I wanted it to work, so I didn't want to give up, and it's just like you're like juggling a lot at one time, and it's very taxing. It's gotten better, but I feel like I saw a lot of Black teachers leave and become exhausted or leave within 5 years because it's just like, I want to do this, I want to get back to my community, but it seems like nobody cares and it's not really going anywhere. And if anything, they have more of a tax than other teachers in the school because there's a lot put on us and no one really cares. So
Yeah, I appreciate your perspective. I appreciate your honesty. Guys, if you're just tuning in, I want you to know that we are with none other than my co host today as we walk through the panel for the rest of the time, Tatiana Williamson. And you're in special education, correct?
absolutely.
Okay, and so there's some barriers and things that you see. So as we go through this panel and and talk and listen to what some of the educators across Pennsylvania have to say, I really value your opinion, Tatiana, and I hope that you would add how that even affects from the special education lens as we go along. We will talk about three main things today. And you can share with them too, and I'll put up our slide. The three main areas that we're going to delve into. Let's see. Can you guys see the slide? Move it, edit. There we go. All right. So our three main areas, when we think about it, we're thinking about culture responsive and sustaining educators and education, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the law and what we can do. Like as I get excited on here. What we can do, we often talk about as educators. I remember there were times I would be like, oh my gosh, this is wrong, that's wrong. We often talk about what's wrong until I was like, you know what? You have a voice, advocate. You know what it needs to look like, advocate. So we're going to talk about how some people are advocating. We're going to hear some few stories, and then we're going to leave you guys with a link because tomorrow we're going to be playing stories from educators all across Pennsylvania all week, all the way until June when we go to the Harrisburg to the Capitol building and really advocate. So you'll hear about cultural relevance, you'll hear about the law, and then you'll have some action steps, and that's how we'll proceed. So who are these lovely people, Tatiana, on our screen? Who is this?
That's our cohort for Reimagining Teacher Prep with Culture. There's a lot of lovely people. The ones in the video, we got Tim Crane giving us a thumbs up. We have Rhonda 3, Dr. Rhonda. I think she's in the back. She's behind me in the picture. And we have Dr. Derek Long also in the front there. Those are the people that we're playing the videos today for. So
yes. So we will play some videos from them starting today, and then the rest of the week, you guys will hear from the rest of our Teach Plus Policy Fellow Reimagine Teacher Preparation group. And we added with culture because we are working with, and I don't know if you see down in the corner, guys, Reimagining Teacher Preparation. We're working with college students, so you'll get to hear from college students all week as well. We might even give you a snippet today of their story and how they are, we'll add that in there as well. But they are actually the action takers. They are not playing around, these college students. So you'll hear from that. And so let's keep it moving. All right. So as I said, and Tatiana, I put this on here because she said something about culture, creativity, and investment. But I appreciate that you lead with culture and that CRSE, guys. If you don't know what that is, you're going to find out what it is today. And I've been talking about it on my show for weeks, so I'm hoping culturally relevant, right? Sustaining education competencies. So I'm trying to practice it in my vocabulary, so we're talking about it all the time. All right, so let's keep it moving. So I do want to recognize our partners in this work, and that is we are in partnership with Point Park Social Impact Project, led by Dr. Rhonda Threet. She is a professor at two different colleges, Pitt University and Point Park, and Point Park has given us funding to work with the students. So I definitely want to give a shout out there to her and to the group. And we have come together with Teach Plus. Again, we've been talking all about Teach Plus since we started. You guys, I got to do all the things. And we are on a mission with Teach Plus, all of us here to educate well, and our organization, Everybody Educate. All right, let's go. Take it away, Tatiana.
All right, so we're talking about just SE, like you said, got to make it a part of the vocabulary. So only 20% of teachers are of color compared to 50% of the students. Okay, so the demographics are changing, but the teacher demographics aren't changing quick enough. Only 20 states require courses in CRT. So that's obviously a really big problem. It doesn't take much to create a course, and we're not even creating the courses to give. Big problem. 37% of students of color compared to only 6% teachers of color. So in the grand scheme of things, only 6% of teachers of color, and maybe 2% of us are sitting right now. Me and Queen over here. Oh, I'm kidding. But we're here anyway, but it's just not many. So the lack of representation is a big deal. I was watching this podcast the other day, and they made a point that they were saying a lot of white teachers go into neighborhoods like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, like that, and I think they go with good intent, but they become maybe a little overwhelmed and sometimes even scared of our kids and end up victimizing themselves. And I think that's a big issue, and that leads to like violent words that you really can't take away and you can't unhear, and just discrimination that sticks with you. So stuff like that, I think the courses could help, not to victimize yourself in a situation and to understand the language you're using with kids of color. So me personally, I think it's a really big issue. That's just my little 2 cents, but go ahead, Queen.
Get myself off mute. Yeah, I definitely agree, and I wanted to point out, we are like, what's our purpose? We have to prepare for this work. It's not really it's just not something you just do. You have to really be intentional. So I appreciate what you said, Tatiana. You have to be intent. Like, the people have good intentions, but it doesn't always turn out the way that we want it. So what do we do then? We need to really understand what it means, what we want to do, what it really means, how it can look for us. And so I wanted to share the cultural response. It's on PM. I'm just going to share my screen with that. So I'll take this down really quickly, because I need us to put it in our vocabulary. And I have this link, and I'll put the link in the chat as well. If you're not familiar with chapter 49 pages for culturally responsive, the cultural competencies are ways where we can plan and really do the work that all of our students need, because all of our students, especially our historically marginalized students of color, our students of color, Black students, our teachers, we need to make sure that we are intentional about planning for the right thing to do. So this link is something that I think you guys would benefit from. Also, what is culturally responsive teaching? We want to define that. I need you all, it's in here. It talks about it. Gloria Ladson-Billings is a proponent for that as well, and has coined that. So you guys know all of that. So let me add this back to the screen. I want you to know that. Let's go. Let's get a testimonial right here from one of our own Teach Plus Policy Fellows, Doctor. She just became doctor. Congratulations, Dr. Ebony Lamb. And this is straight from her story. This is her voice. So you can go ahead and read that or talk about that if you like, Tatiana.
Shout out to Ebony. That was really cool. She's become a doctor. Love that.
Yeah.
Excited to read this. So she has a dope quote. As Pennsylvania becomes more diverse, with 37% of students of color compared to only 6% teachers of color, ensuring that all teachers are trained to be culturally responsive is more critical than ever, said Emily Lamb, a teacher in Pittsburgh Public. In no way do the competency tell students or teachers what to think. Instead, they help educators to critically think and examine their own implicit and explicit biases. I'm just going to stop there just because I think it's so important that she said that. I think a lot of people get scared of this language because they're like, you can't tell my kids how to think. You can't brainwash my kids. And I don't think anybody wants to brainwash your kids, but I think it is important to protect the kids that you are teaching as far as, not, they can easily have violent words on them and just, like I said before, the feelings that stick and they really form your very fragile mind at that time. And it should be treated as such. So I agree with Ebony. That's why she's a doctor, clearly.
Well, I tell you what. So I remember when she had spoke up and shared this post in our group, and I was just like, whoa. So there was a news article in PA where there were some teachers trying to stop the Chapter 49 from going into law. And it was just like, to me, it was a smack in the face because I felt like, why are we fighting something that's going to make everybody better? Why are we fighting being culturally responsive? That's how, when you were talking earlier, Tatiana, about like, sometimes people have good intentions, but sometimes they really don't understand why behind the what that they're doing, and they don't really take time to learn. And so this is a clear example where it was like, listen, this is not what this is. Did y'all really look and research into what this is? So all respect to all educators, but people who are ignorant of like what it really means to be culturally responsive, that's all of us at some points. I'm always still learning. I'm always learning how to not have biases, to not walk in dominant culture or white privilege or privilegedness that I have. It's a learned behavior to get myself to be like, this is the right way. This is the best way. So okay, I'll like.
No, but I think it's important. I think it's important we have teachers of color because you can recognize that it makes you better, right? Because you've been on the opposite end of
right,
maybe not feeling great or like feeling left out or feeling unseen, but you can recognize that it makes you better. But not everybody can recognize that, and you won't ever have 100% compliance with this kind of things. But if you have more teachers of color that know what it feels like, you have a more receptive crowd, I believe.
Absolutely. And how does that kind of connect with the law? So we're talking about this, but then it goes into, we're talking about Chapter 49. Some people might be like, well, what does that even mean? What is your take on how what we're saying, what Ebony is saying, goes into the law? Uh-oh, you might be on mute. Yeah.
I'm on mute. So this is a clarifying question. So what do you mean by that?
So like, if people are made to do something,
right?
Do you think that they'll do it? So we talked about Chapter 49.
If people are made to do something, to do it.
Is it authentic? Like I don't know. I'm struggling.
I don't know. I do think though. I don't know. I think people will be at least held accountable to do it. I don't think, like I said, is it ever going to be 100% compliance? No. But I do believe if you are in any situation, it's like, it's on record that you were supposed to do this. So at least it's on record and I can now take action and maybe like something will be at jeopardy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's something to hang over your head. So, and like you said, is it going to be authentic? Maybe not. But at the very least, the law I think eventually law does influence opinion eventually. I think maybe the first 2 generations might not really see it, but eventually it becomes common practice, so it becomes
That's true.
And I think that it does take time, but I do believe, if we didn't have certain laws in the 60s, eventually a lot of opinion changed. We're still fighting a lot of the same things, but overall a lot of opinion has loosened up a little bit. And because it's law, because if you don't do this,
Right.
Now legal action can be taken against you. So it's like, now you better do it whether you think it's right or not. So it's loaded. That's a hard question. But.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I will say, to your point, it's still a law, and there's a lot of laws that we don't like, but then the language becomes more acceptable than it did before, whenever it was like, oh no, we're separate but equal, or all those different things, like, oh no, you don't belong here. No, in law it says you belong here, because even when they changed those laws back in the day to push out Black people, African Americans, Africans, to push out people, even when slavery was done, even all those different things, people still upheld what they felt they should, like privilege or the way things were in law. So it does really make a difference for us to talk in law. Now, and I actually just want to flow through the rest couple of these slides, and then I'll play a clip from, what do you think? Play a clip from Tim. And then after Tim, we'll flow through, and I'll let you guys kind of see the discussion we had with some of the other panelists. Okay, so let's put that clip up really quickly before we get into the teacher shortage, because I think teacher shortage is a huge issue, and I believe that when we're talking about culturally responsive and sustaining practice, I want you all to connect it. Like it goes together. There's a huge reason why our teachers are leaving. There's a huge reason why our students are not engaged. There's a huge reason why there's not a lot of Black teachers or teachers of color in the school system, and it is tightly connected to culturally responsive CRT, culturally responsive teaching, culturally responsive education, and these competencies that need to be in place. There's a huge reason. So I need everybody to see the connection, and then we'll go into teacher shortage, because it doesn't need to be separated. I'm just going to be real. It just doesn't. So let's play this clip from Tim, and he is phenomenal in Harrisburg. He does so much work, and I'm just really excited for you all to see this.
And a great school to really revolutionize the set of opportunities they have before them. What we don't have, unfortunately, is a system that encourages people to commit to getting a teaching certificate, either because they can't necessarily afford to pursue that, or any of the other barriers they might be facing along the way. We also have, and this is one of the major reasons I really committed to this working group in particular, we don't have a system that really encourages people to commit to the long run of a career. When we talk about the teacher shortage, a very basic cause of that is that we just don't have folks entering the profession and even getting a foot inside the door of their own classrooms. But a bigger problem, and we continue to see this unfold, is that we don't have people that are sticking to the classroom for the long haul of 25, 30 plus years. And so really what I think we need to do are create the conditions that encourage people who want to get into the profession but might say, I don't know that I can commit myself to this for the full run, or I could if I could just afford to get the degree, to get the certificate, to really put myself in the position to earn that job. To do just that. We have a lot of untapped human potential in our schools, and we're seeing the recognition of that through some of the Grow Your Own program initiatives that are currently in committee. And there are other ways that we can recruit those talents to get into classrooms and stay at the heads of classrooms, especially those who have not always been put at the forefront of recruitment efforts. I'm talking about our students of color that can become teachers of color and be the role models for not just students of color, but all kids. And so again, like I said, we have the folks that want to enter the profession, but there are a lot of barriers in their way. And so I think what the next step for us as a Commonwealth is to really invest in those opportunities and remove those barriers so that the teaching force that we know can be out there can get in the classroom, stay in the classroom, and show kids what the best of public education in Pennsylvania can be, because we're overdue.
Okay, so we just heard from Tim, and I'm just trying to take his clip down.
Like watching him watch the screen is a little bit creepy.
Yes. So, okay, I just have to hide it. There we go.
Okay.
I'm like, bye. What's happening? It's over. Okay.
It was. It's not even live, but I feel like it was live. That was weird. All right, but
Go ahead.
I just think that actually we're talking about certification. We're talking about the barriers there, and I'm gonna get a little bit into it just because today I had a day where my first 2 years of teaching I taught in New York. I'm going on my third year teaching in Pennsylvania, and very similar state, very similar situation, very similar things you would think. However, reaching a lot of barriers. So I'm certified in New York to teach students with disabilities. Everything's great. Everything's cool. I thought it was going to be easy to come here. I wasn't really too worried about it. I am now to the point where I've reached so much barriers because, I mean, as you probably definitely know, Queen, it's expensive to get your teacher cert. It's not cheap. The whole process is pricey. It's long. It's not always easy, but I was like, I'm certified. I'm gonna just switch this up real quick. I'm gonna teach these kids. It's gonna be great. And everything's going great besides that. Like, I feel like I'm in a place where going to my third year at the school. I feel like I can see the impact. I can connect with the kids. I'm really happy here. Like, I would teach here for a long time if possible. But they're making me jump through all these hoops to like transfer my certification. I have to take more courses. I have to take more tests. And it's just like, I would have been fine taking the test. I passed all the tests nicely. But now I feel like I'm paying for another degree and I already have a master's. So like, I feel that strain. Like, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy at my school. I'm happy like with where I'm at. It's just the barriers that are put there for teachers that are already proven to be effective it's laughable, and it's going to continue to be a problem. And like Tim said, the biggest problem here is keeping teachers in the classroom and giving kids what they deserve and giving them a good public education as they should be receiving. And it's never going to end if we don't address it. And I see that myself, and it's disappointing.
It certainly is. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Okay. It certainly is. I mean, I think, oh, you don't see me, guys. Okay, sorry. I think, well said. When I first met you, when we started the cohort for Teach Plus Policy Fellow, that is something you were so passionate about when you were talking about. And I said, you lit up, you came to life with that. And it hurt my heart because it's like, it isn't fair. There's so many hoops. I felt like you helped to ignite in me the fact that, no, that's not okay. I felt like I always kind of just went along to get along. I also have a background in special education as well. I came in trying to prove myself as an educator. Subbing, I felt like the tests weren't for me. There was just so many barriers in my college, like literally in college. And I felt like I went to a pretty good teaching school. I went to a PASHE school. And I felt like in theory, I was prepared to like, okay, but in real life, especially when I was taking that test, a lot of my friends of color dropped out. They were like, I'm not even doing this education, because I would answer the questions as if it was a real world and I am in with diverse students, and I would fail that test every time. I was like, no, spent money, did all this stuff. And I've been teaching since I was little. Ask anybody. Teaching in the church, teaching at the school, teaching on the porch of my best friend's house, like everything, playing school. I knew how. I was working with kids when I was a kid, teaching and I say all that to say, Tatiana, I just figured it out. I went through the barriers and just figured out. I'm tired. And why do people especially women of color, people of color, have to just figure it out all the time? Why can't we have laws in place that doesn't have all these hoops and things? Don't get me started.
Well, if you want to get started on that's a whole nother conversation. I don't even think the test is culturally relevant, because when you're answering the question, you're like, this is what you should do based on who I teach.
Exactly.
To do the right answer according to you in this test, I might get a desk whipped in my classroom. So let's not do that. But
right.
But that's it. And another thing, just before we move on, while I'm in my little rant, the mayor of New York City said recently, this same discussion we're having, like paying teachers more, getting more teachers in the classroom, blah, 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 thing they're all fighting for. That's a big thing in the New York City thing on the table right now. And you just said, teachers get on. We kind of like accepted whatever we're given, but we shouldn't, because he said out of his mouth, like, oh, teachers they do this out of the kindness of their heart. Why do they need more money? Why would they need more money? You're supposed to do it because you want to feel good about yourself. You want to give back to your community. And I do, especially as a Black woman. However, I put a lot of money into my degrees, and I put a lot of time.
Come
And I
on.
should get paid as so, and I put a lot of time. We all put so much time in just lesson planning and our own money to make sure everyone has food, because we can't see this. It's just ridiculous. So that is a common attitude. Like, they should be doing it with the kindness of their heart, and we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, because we don't get paid enough to begin with.
That's right.
And we shouldn't just accept anything. We shouldn't just get on, because that's not sustainable. That's
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, and it's actually a smack in the face. And guess what? You're about to be on here with me every week now. We're gonna talk about this stuff. We're gonna get it till people get. We're gonna give it out till people get it, because I think that it's a beautiful thing. That education is a beautiful thing, right? And for people to kind of not really recognize, like, we train the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, like we do. Educators train all the people who make all the money. Don't get me started either. But then we wonder why there's a teacher shortage. And you talked about pay. Pay needs to shift also in Pennsylvania, guys. We are advocating for pay to be better as well, and for there to be programs that really do highlight recruitment of diverse teachers, Black teachers, teachers of color, and making sure that they're successful. We don't have to jump through 15,000 hoops all the time. Okay. So in just 10 years, new teacher certifications have plummeted from over 16,000 in 2012 and 2013 to just over 4,000 in 2021-22. 50% of teachers leave within 5 years. This is not just because of COVID. Like, this has been going on for some time. This has been going on. I remember whenever everybody wanted to be a teacher in Pennsylvania. There were so many people in my program, but it has plummeted. And I mean, honestly, you guys, as you all listen to the interviews and the stories throughout the week, we really want you all to hear these teachers' hearts, their voices, and advocacy. And hopefully it gives you courage to make changes. It gives you courage to advocate, and it gives you courage to shift your mindset about teaching in Pennsylvania. And there is a problem. There's a dire need. So we're gonna take about 5-10 more minutes, guys. But this is just so important, and I want to make sure that we push through to it. So let me get off of that one. So I do want you all to know that. Do we have any more slides we want to show?
I believe there is, maybe. Oh, just a call to action about the Grow Your Own program.
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, and I wanted to highlight something that Tim said about creating those conditions. This is something I've been preaching and teaching and pushing and coaching people on since I worked throughout the Pennsylvania school district. Now I'm training and developing people out from my own lens. But this is the most important fact that I really want to highlight from some of the voices there. So let's see. Hold on. It's not the one. Okay. Here we go. Here's our call to action for you guys. And then I want to share Laura, who is our executive director for Teach Plus PA. She has a call to action, and I'm actually just going to share it with you. I actually have a post about it. So talk to us a little bit about Grow Your Own and what people can do. So I'm going to hide this.
Okay. So the Grow Your Own Teach programs are apprenticeships that allow teacher candidates to go to school for free and get paid to student teach. 8 states have already created these programs. So in Philadelphia, we have residency programs through Temple, Penn. Those 2 schools kind of they have you in the program and they teach you, and you have a residency year where you're not completely alone teaching. You're under the guidance of another teacher. And you get a salary. I believe it's around $45,000, which isn't the most money in the world, but it's enough. You get something more than we all made student teaching. We made $0. You had to work actual jobs and student teach, which was very difficult. And I've seen it. I've seen the teachers from those programs come out way better off than I did. And their first year teaching is a residency, so they feel like it's not all on their backs. They can make mistakes. They're confident in making their mistakes. And like, okay, I have the backing behind somebody else. And they try to pair them with residency teachers that are compatible to them. Right now, I'm going through the process of getting a student teacher, and it just seemed like a real cool compatibility test. So you're vibing with the person, so it's not random. And it's just proven to just have more confident teachers. And that's what we need. Now, if we have more confident teachers, they'll probably stay a little bit longer. And that's also what we need. So the program is really fantastic. And And the whole thing with a first year teacher, you feel like if one thing goes wrong in my personal life, or if I have one other stressor outside this job, I'm going to quit, or like mentally I won't make it. And who knows? I've seen teachers like literally like mentally be so unwell. Like, so, and that's not fair. Your job shouldn't be that stressful. If one thing goes wrong, you're going to just the bridge and you run into the bridge. It's just not right. So programs like this, I think, help alleviate stress and, create better, more longevity in the field.
I certainly agree. And the last thing I want to say, and then what we'll do, how we'll shift here is we'll put on here your next steps and some things that you can do. I'll put that in the chat too. Some call to action from Teach Plus and PA needs teachers. We'll put that in there. But speak to us of, like, you asked a question to our students now, and you wanted to see, was there a difference? What data did you find out from like their program to what yours was, and then what you are proposing people to go into, like the Grow Your Own programs? Speak to us about like student teaching preparation, and yeah.
Well, their program seems a little bit more culturally relevant, but they're a couple years younger, so that's more of a push now. So that's cool. I love that. They seem a little more culturally relevant. I don't believe they're in a residency program, so I believe they're just doing regular traditional student teaching. So that's similar. They're not getting paid, so I feel for them there. But the goal is here. We have the CRSE thing. We have that, but we also have some kind of stipend as well. So if you have those two elements, we're not going to create perfect teachers because that doesn't exist, but we'll create more prepared teachers, more longevity. So that is the main goal, because there's no way to really be 100% prepared for teaching, as we all know, until you get in the classroom and you realize how to do it. But there's better ways of getting to that classroom and staying in that classroom than we are currently at. So I think that's what the goal is.
And just share your like maybe 3 top pointers that you want to leave people with before we shift and let them watch the others.
3 top pointers for new teachers?
Well, I think honestly, you don't see me. I like, from your perspective, from your story, just to kind of sum up everything, you really talked a lot about your story. You talked about a lot about, we talked a lot about how things need to change and can change. What are like 3 simplistic ways that we can have change in our education system right now? Maybe 1 right now, 1 we're looking forward to in the near future, and then your word for change.
All right. So right now, I think what stuck with me when you said, just don't accept anything. As a teacher, as a parent, or as a community member, don't accept anything. Like, just, this is the way it is. Because no, like my school, if there's an asbestos that could have been fixed years ago, or you should have got a new school built for these kids, because if it would have happened in the suburbs, they would have had a new school. Don't accept that. Don't accept the fact that your kids are not getting an education in person because they live where they live and they have the zip code they have. Don't just accept what is given to you. It's just not going to work. Teachers, students, parents, random people on the street, just don't accept it, especially when it comes to education. And the next one you said, for the near future, stay educated on the policies and the things that are changing, because things get, pulled, the rug gets pulled underneath all the time, and things happen and we don't even know what's happening. Elections come and go and things are changing. Budgets, they were threatening to take off so much money from education. So just stay up on education, how much money they're putting or taking from education, because that really does make a big difference. Mm-hmm. And the last one word, if I would say one word, invest into your community, invest into your people, invest into your kids. Just, that will make all the difference.
That is so powerful. Thank you so much. I appreciate, like, basically, and you can't see me right now, sorry. I'm trying to pull this up for you guys. I appreciate all that you have shared. Tatiana, you have a beautiful future ahead of you. I know that for sure. And I know that, there are going to be many that hear your voice and that really decide, what, if she can, then so can I, especially in the field that you're working with. It's really powerful. So thank you for what you do. And can you guys see me yet? Can you see my screen yet?
Not yet.
I will share it though. Okay. I wanted to also make sure that you guys are able, hold on, sorry, here we go. Yes, here we go. Tell me, just holler when you hear when you see it.
It's loading. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, I know it doesn't look perfect, but it's okay, guys. It's okay not to be perfect all the time. Oh, those are the things that we work through. Like, what's perfect anyway? Like, who says that, right? Okay, so I just want, this is the call to action. I don't know if you guys can read it, but can you still see it? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's a little small, but it's there.
Okay, it's kind of small. All right, let me just try to make this a little bigger. Oh my gosh. All right. So basically, the gist of this is that Teach Plus does work on those laws, just like Tatiana was saying, keep up on the laws. You guys have a voice, you can advocate. So I just wanted to say that Teach Plus, they wanted us to share this out. And we are, one thing that they said, that we are not facing a teacher shortage crisis anymore. Guess what? We are entrenched in it. We're not just facing it, we are deep in it, especially in Pennsylvania. And the fact that we are entrenched in this, I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger for you guys because I'm going to put all this stuff in the chat too. There we go. Is that better, Tatiana?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, perfect. So they asked us to share this with you all. And our team asked us to share this with you guys, that statewide, we want you to be a part. So join us today and send a message to your elected officials, especially if you're in Pennsylvania. Come on, there's a Senate bill. We're trying to get some bills passed so that we can have these grow your own programs, just like we talked about today, so that we can give more data about things that are not working in our system. And we need support for that. And the law is the law. So once it's in law, we can help push more. We have more leverage to make sure that our students and our schools everywhere, public, private, charter, rural, suburban, all schools have the diversifying teacher pipeline. They have all the things that we continuously mention. So email your legislator. You can do it right here on this click. I'm going to give you guys, send you guys this. Also, we want you guys to join our coalition. Okay, join the coalition as an individual. If you're an organization out there, join, and get regular updates on our efforts to change state policy. Okay, we want to change the law so that we can have better. We can be better, and our children can be better. All of our children. And then here, we want you to spread the word. So you guys will get all of these links. And one thing is, you can sign up by May 26th, by Friday, register for PA Needs Teacher Lobby Day. And that's what Tatiana and I and our groups, we're going to be there. We're going to be there in Harrisburg. You can come too. So register to lobby in some way. If you can come, if you can't, send a letter, reach out. We have the thing that we're setting the conditions, as Tim said. We're setting the conditions, okay? And so we want you to also subscribe to Teach Plus, subscribe to the National Teach Plus. We also, if you need support, I'm going to come back to you guys. If you need support, and Everybody Educate is also here for you. We have professional development all on culturally relevant teaching practices, Chapter 49 focused for Pennsylvania, and culturally relevant like worldwide. So we support everybody everywhere. Listen, guys, we are so excited that you were able to tune in and listen to us today. I will put the link to the video for the panel that we had. And you'll get it all week long. So I think this was enough. This was good grounding for today, but you'll get the rest all week long. And do you want to say anything else, Tatiana? I know this is kind of long. Tatiana was like, Queen, it needs to be like short, 20 minutes. Sorry.
Listen, I think we said a lot of good stuff though, but if I would say anything else, just it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to want to learn more. And that's what we all should be doing, no matter your race or anything. We should all be learning more. And this is a great opportunity. So I was happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yay, thank you. And where can we find you? Where can we find you? Like, how can we connect with you?
I'm not really super well connected as far as social media, but I do have a Facebook.
Email, Facebook, email. You can do email. Put it in the chat, and I would love you guys to connect with her, especially if you're a teacher that's fairly new, but you've gone through the teacher preparation, you've gone through the startup. Tatiana has a lot of wisdom and that she can help you and relate to you right where you are. So she'll put that in the chat for you guys too. We'll do that. We thank you so much. Thank you for hosting Brilliance with me, because Tatiana is definitely brilliant. And all of the people you'll see all week long for our virtual panel, they are definitely brilliant. So thank you. Go ahead with those call to actions and we shall see you later. Say bye to my guest. Bye, Tatiana. Thank you. All right, guys, we did it. We hosted Brilliance on another Monday. We're so excited about it. And guess what? Send this to people. We want to hear your voice. We want to know what you think about all that we share. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Bye.